South Africa's happiness trends have been higher since the cabinet announcement. This is according to the near real-time happiness index conducted by University of Johannesburg. For more on this, I'm joined by the person behind the study, Professor Talita Greyling, wellbeing economist at the University of Johannesburg. Professor Greyling, good to speak to you. Happy to speak to you, should I say. Now, regarding the increase in happiness levels, what specific factors do you believe have contributed most to the increase in the happiness index?
Okay, to answer that question, I can answer it on two layers. I'm work with statistics and maths. So there's stats and maths behind it and a lot of algorithms. But to measure the happiness is based on words which carry certain emotions, either positive or negative emotions. So in this index, it's constructed of 26 words. So if you have to go and look at the underlying emotions that actually gained over this time, we can see positive and negative increase. The positive words that we see an increase in is Ubuntu, which I like because it's pure South African. Happiness, joy, hope are the words that actually gained momentum, which gives the happiness a positive impact. But there was also some negative words like afraid and bad, which we saw an increase. But the net effect was positive outcome.
Professor Greyling, where do you see these words? Where are these words found?
Everything is based on Google searches, so where we extract the data in real time from Google, not Google itself, but Google Trends, and then it's an index format, and we put it through a few machine learning algorithms to, at the end of the day, calculate the happiness index.
So I suppose the major question here is context, right? Because one person can write, "I am happy." There you pick up happy, and the other person would write, "I would like to be happy." So how then how do you determine that the word happy isn't speaking to what an individual would like versus what they're actually feeling at a particular point in time?
Well, we can get into it in a very technical side, which is word embedding, which picks up that type of thing, which we build into the whole index. But I suppose that's enough. Anybody that knows the technical skills will know how, if you have word embedding, it means that one word can be extracted to many words which has the same sympathy or same meaning, and you build that into your index.
Now, this is obviously real time, so it's pretty exciting that it's only been a few days since the announcement of the cabinet. But there's already this hope or a sizable move in the happiness index. Now, how significant, I suppose, is the question, was the role of the new coalition government in instilling hope and trust? Or was it?
Yeah, I think that if we look underlying to what's driving this index and the positiveness, it's definitely the coalition cabinet. And you can see even in different social media, the relief of people that the cabinet was announced, because people were scared that something is going to happen and there will be some kind of breakup in this cabinet where we should have some unity. And the announcement really had a positive effect. We can also see that the fact that there's more than one party in the national government means there should be more transparency, more accountability, which means more trust in the government. And trust in the government is a big part of happiness, total happiness. If you trust your government and trust what they do, it means that you comply. And if you comply, you mean you get a more regular or a more regulated society, which contributes to the happiness of all people, well-being.
Professor, do we have pockets of happiness across the country, or is this happiness that we are seeing spread out evenly? Are there certain centres? I mean, you've attributed it to the GNU, so I'd imagine that there are certain individuals in parts of the country that may not be happy
Yes.
with certain aspects of the GNU, whilst others might be a lot happier.
Yeah, that is true, but this is at a macro level. We measure it for the country, so it's an average for the country. But you can also go into smaller geo areas, say for example Gauteng, because we can see what is the effect of a cabinet announcement in Gauteng. So you can work on smaller geographical areas, but if you extract data, it's per a geographical area and not per a specific person, which is really good because then we're touching on ethics if we can know what each person's actually searching on Google.
Now, how does this index manifest in behavioral patterns of individuals, right? So a week ago, or in fact a week before the announcement of the GNU, I think you indicated that there were emotions such as anxiety and so on, and various other words that you picked up in your study. And obviously post the announcement it's changed. But how does it manifest in behaviors?
Well, what we find is it depends on which emotions we find is higher. For example, if your anger is very high, it means that there's a anger in the country. Remember, this is at a macro level. So if you find that emotion picking up, then there's some concern about it. You don't want the people to be angry, because a happier society has many benefits. They're more productive, they're more healthy, they can be educated, or the way that you can receive education is better, the crime rate drops. So there's so many benefits. So you must look at these emotions in a policymaker's role to know that what are you saying, what are you doing, what is the effect on the people. And for example, if you really infuriate people, which we've seen previously in the South African history, then you will have riots. It will lead to something more. There will be some explosion of emotion.
So do you work with a sample? I mean, how do you determine?
The sample are the tweets we extract from Google. So extracting tweets from Google in real time means you get a sample of more than 1 million tweets, or not tweets, but 1 million searches per day. Sorry about the tweets, because we used to work with tweets.
Okay.
So it's a big sample. We are speaking about big data here. It's not in a normal Excel spreadsheet. This is really voluminous. It's many data points that we're working with.
So fantastic that you have a 1 million tweets, and we'll use that because it sounds better than calling them X's, but you've got 1 million tweets, and you extract information from that. And when you extrapolate, you then speaks to the number of South Africans. I mean, you say that the South Africans are generally happy, but how many people are on Twitter versus those who aren't? So how does this sample or these 1 million tweets then impact the rest of the population? I think you might be muted, Professor. Can't seem to hear you.
I wonder how I went
on
mute.
Can you hear you now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Just to correct you, it's not tweets, not Twitter, it's Google searches.
Okay, but it's based purely on individuals that are on the internet, right?
That's correct.
So there are millions of individuals in South Africa that aren't on the internet, that aren't searching for these things. How are they catered to?
What you're asking is, is the index representative? Yes, it is. If your sample is that big and there's so many people doing searches, it is representative, because that's actually where you're moving toward. And this index has been validated against survey data. So you predict your index, and based on a true value, which we call survey data, to see how closely you can predict it. Now we get a fit, or it's very closely. There's only an error term of 0.01. So that's so small. And we just presented this to the European Commission as well in Luxembourg. And this is a really robust measure.
Fantastic. Professor Talita Greyling, wellbeing economist at the University of Johannesburg. Appreciate your time, and thank you so much for speaking to us.